Here with PawPrint Brewery. Today we're going to be doing a water test on our boil kettle on the new Spike Nano 1bbl system here. Just kind of give you guys a shot of the front side here. And so you got your hot liquor tank, mash tun, boil kettle. Right now I got 30 gallons of water heating up inside the boil kettle there. And then we got our wort chiller down here. You got a couple pumps to help move the liquid from vessel to vessel. So I started today with 30 gallons of water. We were at a temperature of 56 degrees at 1020. It's 1048 right now, and we're up to 140. And what I'm doing today is just boil kettle only, 30 gallons. Trying to get it to boil. I want to see how much the steam condenser conserves on the liquid, which goes into a bucket here. So when you turn the pump on, basically the water that's in the bucket will go up this tube. There's a special like little nozzle in here that sprays a mist of water. As the steam comes out, these two mix, turns it back into water. And Spike, actually, I reached out to them, and their engineers are supposed to be getting back to me. And maybe some of you guys might have some thoughts on this. The runoff from the steam condenser comes out of this tube, which they recommend that you just set the tube on the drip tray table here, and the water will run down and into the floor drain. My question is there a benefit or anything that's going to harm your boil if you just let your liquid go right back into your same bucket? I've never had a steam condenser before, so I'm kind of curious. I just don't know. My thought is I think maybe the water will get dirty because maybe some of the steam will have some stuff from the boiling wort in it, and it'll kind of maybe dirty this water up a little bit. But if you start with a fresh, clean bucket of water, sanitized, you can put a lid on there if you want. I just wonder if you did this for at least 45 minutes of the boil, and that last 15 minutes of the boil, maybe that's when you take the hose out and you let it run down the table. But their engineers are going to get back to me on that, on what they recommend, or if there's anybody else that has any experience with steam condensers, because Spike's telling me that during a one hour brew day with this steam condenser, you're going to go through 20 gallons of water that you have to pump through your steam condenser that'll run down the table. So 20 gallons is a lot of water just to run off every time you boil. So just kind of curious. May try it both ways just to see how the system works with the runoff tube either in the water or the runoff tube just down the table there. So yeah, I mean, you can hear the elements starting to heat up. She's getting warm. We're at 147 degrees right now, and like I said, today's just about boiling. I want to see the losses with the evaporation. I'm going to boil for an hour. I also just want to make sure what my settings are for like my output. Right now I'm at 100% output on the boil kettle. The instructions say I can kick that down to about 40 to 50% once we get that boil going. So that's my next kind of question is I just want to know what I can set it at to keep that boil. And so yeah, so today's just a water test day. We're still waiting on a few licensing things to get squared out before we can actually start brewing in the brew room here with all the SS Brewtech 2-barrel fermenters. Like I said, we're brewing on the Spike 1-barrel Nano system. We do have the double electrical panel, which once I have one batch boiling, I can go ahead and start to mash in on my second batch, so I can run my elements at the same time. So that's why we got the upgraded double panel. So yeah, stay tuned. We will fill you guys in on what the losses are on this boil kettle with the steam condenser. And I think today I'm going to do it with just the steam condenser. Since this is just straight water, I think I'm just going to let it run right back into the bucket just to conserve water for today until I hear back from the Spike people to give me the thumbs up on if it's okay to run it with it in the bucket, or if we have to run it down the table. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll get this video uploaded as soon as we can. And the disclaimer is I am not a video expert, so I'm going to piece this together the best I can to kind of give you guys the best bang for your buck. So just stay tuned, and get some more content up for you guys, and show you how this system's working. We're up to 153 degrees, 54. It's 10:54, so about what's that? 25 minutes so far. So stay tuned. We're sitting at 204. I mean, she's getting close. So let's just slide this lid back on. Now that's all the steam we get right there. Just a little bit. So alright, we're getting close. So it looks like from 56 degrees is what the water temperature was when I started the boil. It looks like it takes just about an hour to boil 30 gallons at 56 degrees. Now, what I didn't take into consideration is that on a brew day, your mash water is going to be right around about 150, 160 degrees. So it's taken about 15 minutes to go from like 160 to 204. So that'll be kind of another number that I need to look at once I start during that first boil, that first brew. Is my mash water is already going to be at that 160 degree, 150, 60 degrees. So I'm going to have to make sure that I track the time a little bit more accurate on how long it takes to get to boil from your mash temperature, not just from straight out the tap, which was 56 degrees today. So all right, we're at 205. Just put this on and maybe see how the steam condenser is going to work out. I'm just curious. Okay, we finally got up to a boil. We hit a boil, like a real good rolling boil at 208. Right now we're holding at 209 with 40% power. So, obviously that 209, 210, which which is good because right now the kettle, I mean, she's really boiling. So yeah, took an hour to get to boil from 56-degree water temperature straight out of the hose. I believe that time I can cut down to, you know, that 30 to 40 minute range once the mash is already at that 156, you know, 150 degree water. So we will cut off some time there. As far as the steam condenser, so here's the steam condenser running. It takes the water from down on the pump. It goes up into the top of the steam condenser, converts the steam into, you know, back into this liquid. The problem is that when you put this tube down in the water, it creates a really, I don't know, like a pressurized vessel on top, and then the steam just comes out the rim of the boil kettle. So right now, this is just how I have it set up just for today. We're just doing a water test, and I didn't want to waste 20 gallons of water, according to what Spike says. So I just have it set up this way for right now. And on boil day, we'll probably be re-looking at this setup just to see if the wort that's in here boiling will turn that water like a brownish color or whatever color your grains are, and see if it causes any issues. So the only thing I could think would be an issue is that this water, will it technically be sanitized? I don't know, because the water coming out of here is a little warm, but you know, you can obviously touch it. So I guess the concern would be is, you know, are you putting bacteria back in through the steam condenser? But my thought is the steam is coming down this way, and this system is kind of on a slope, so this water will never per se go back this direction. Only the steam that's coming out of the boil kettle will go down the steam condenser. So I don't see why you couldn't just recirculate your water on your brew day. But I don't know. If anybody has any ideas, let me know. And so we'll try to give you guys a shot of this boil without burning ourselves. So, woo, she's hot. So yeah, so you can kind of see, you can hear it. I mean, you can hear the boil, the roar just kind of going there. Let me turn on the flashlight here, see if we can get you guys some light down there. So hopefully this shows up on the video. I mean, you can kind of see she's boiling pretty good, and we're holding that 210 right now. We're still at 210. So yeah, stay tuned. See what other information I can get you guys today on this water test on the Spike 1bbl Nano. It's 12:18. It's been an hour boil. We're still at 210. Sitting at 210. She's still rolling. My water's about to go down here for my steam condenser, so we're just gonna shut that off. I did move the drainage tube for the steam condenser down on the table for the last 15 minutes or so. I did notice that the water in the bucket started to get hot. So I'm gonna turn this off. We're sitting at 210. I'm just gonna turn the elements off, and we're gonna pop this lid open and see how much of a loss we had. So as you can see, a little bit of steam coming out there. I'm gonna let that cool down a second. So our boil, the steam condenser, like I said, I was running it with this hose in the bucket. I noticed that the bucket and the water started to get really hot. I took a temperature, it got up to about 170 degrees. So that, like I said, that last 10 or 15 minutes of the boil, I just went ahead and ran it down the table here, and then I have it hooked up, and it just drains into my floor joint. So yeah, I'm kind of curious about whether or not that steam condenser is going to work with the water running back into the bucket. So yeah, we'll have to see. So yeah, so now we're going to pull off this. Sorry for the video editing stuff here. So just make sure everything's kind of cool. So now all I want to see is I just want to see where my water levels are at. Let some of this steam kind of escape before I burn myself. Okay. So an hour boil, I put 30 gallons of water in here. And I don't know if you can see that with the steam, but it is still right at about 30. Just a little bit below, I'm talking like just a hair below the 30. Now, the one thing I did notice is that when I was heating this up to a boil with the lid on, that we actually gained like a gallon of water. I don't know if that was because it was pulling the stuff from the moisture from the air. All right, restrict somebody wanting to call, but now they don't want to call. So I mean, we're still sitting at like 30 gallons, so we didn't really lose. We didn't really lose a lot. So, but no, I'm excited. That was an hour boil. That took. So it took me to go from 56 degrees with 30 gallons. It took about an hour to get to boil, but hopefully I'll cut some time off there in the brew process, because when I mash in, temperature is already going to be that 150. So from 150 to 208 is when I'm starting to boil. You know, that should cut some time off there. And then the losses are very minimal from the boiling part of this with the steam condenser. The only question now is, does the steam condenser go back into the same bucket of water, or do I just need to keep filling it during the boil to compensate for that? So just a couple things, but I'm pleased with you know, with the results. I will let this cool down for that shrinkage, just to see, you know, where we're at with our water levels, because, you know, I can see we're dropping just a little bit now with you know, the boil kettle starting to cool off. So we'll actually see what our end result is here once this cools down a little bit. So all right, stay tuned, and keep you updated.